Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mitch. Good Sunday evening to you all. Hope you guys are doing well out there. Certainly have had yourselves a great day, a great weekend, and unfortunately, we're at the end of another weekend, about to head off into a work week. Speaking of our work week, our Monday looks extremely active. Tomorrow, August the 7th, potentially could be one of our most active severe weather days of the summer. And that's saying a lot considering the fact that it's been a very active summer in regards to severe weather. One of the most active ones that I can remember since actively following weather. Now, we're not going to know if that is going to be true until we get to the end of tomorrow, Tuesday morning, until they finalize all these storm reports and then post it on the Storm Prediction Center website. But I'm thinking tomorrow is going to be very, very active, and that's what we're here to do. We're going to get very detailed with you guys, try to figure this one out. Damaging winds is by far the biggest threat for tomorrow, but there is going to be a tornado risk for sure. Hail threat, just like there is with any kind of storm setup, severe storm setup. We're going to break it all down in this video. Try to keep you guys aware and do our part here on this channel to do so. I want to mention, if you hear any low rumbles in the background, it is storming about 30 miles away from here, and that storm is definitely producing a lot of thunder, lightning and thunder. It actually rolled through here about 45 minutes ago, and it was a really neat little summer storm. It's one of the few things I like about summer is a good afternoon, evening storm that you can just kind of chill out and watch off your front or back porch, and that definitely was the case about an hour ago. But it's very stormy out there this evening. We'll talk a little bit on that, talk about what's going on right now. We'll break it all down for you in this video. If you folks have not subscribed, certainly consider doing that. Like the video if you like it. It really goes a long way with getting these videos out there to more people. Not just because I want my channel to grow. Of course, I'll be honest with you guys, I would like to see my channel grow. But it gets these videos out to more people. It hits the algorithm. It'll pop up on somebody's feed watching YouTube videos. And then maybe they never knew that, tomorrow was going to be very active. And now they know. Okay, so that's how I view it, But if you guys got anything that I can pray about, pray over, as always, please put it in the comments below. It gives me an opportunity to pray over it. Gives others an opportunity to do so too. We also got Stormy back here, my cat. She's been sleeping on that towel on my dresser for about 3 hours now. So that means that she's going to have the zoomies overnight tonight and probably wake everybody up in the house. But let's get going. Let's take a look at the Storm Prediction Center outlook. We're going to talk about this first, and then we're going to break down kind of what's going on and then kind of compare it to what's driving the severe weather threat for tomorrow. We'll talk about ingredients first, and then we'll give you the information I'm sure a lot of people are here to see, which is what it could look like tomorrow. So skip ahead if you don't want to know all the players going into the severe weather threat. I can't blame you, but it is important, and it will help you understand what's driving this a lot more, and I'm going to do my best to try to explain it. So Storm Prediction Center outlook for tomorrow, large enhanced risk, okay? We'll take a broad look at this first, and then we're going to zoom in a little bit more on the Mid-Atlantic and the Southeast. But listen, you got enhanced risk almost all the way to Birmingham, all the way up to Philadelphia, and everybody in between, okay? This is wild. And we're not going to talk about this severe weather threat. We'll do that in the morning. We're really just going to focus in on the eastern U.S. threat. But we're going to break down all these regions. But there's an enhanced risk in this entire area right in here in the orange. That is a level 3 out of 5, the yellow level 2 out of 5, dark green level 1 out of 5. So let's go on and zoom into each risk. We're going to talk about the risk of what's driving this enhanced risk also. Let's zoom into this. So Atlanta, enhanced risk. All right. Asheville, enhanced risk. Greenville, Spartanburg, enhanced risk. Columbia, Charlotte, Raleigh, Winston-Salem. If you hear any vibrations in the video, guys, my phone's just right here, and I got my Google Maps pulled up, and it's just notifications coming in. Basically, 80%, 75% of West Virginia, enhanced risk. Extreme eastern Kentucky, enhanced. Washington, D.C., Richmond, Roanoke, Charlottesville, Washington, I already said that, Baltimore, Philadelphia, up here to Harrisburg. You guys, enhanced risk, okay, level 3 out of 5. All right, this is a huge area. I'm almost going to guarantee we are going to get a moderate risk in this area right here, okay, and I'll talk about why in the video. Tornado risk for tomorrow, the green area, that is a 2% risk of a tornado within 25 miles in any given location. Not that high, I know, but if you're in the green area, I'm telling you, do not totally neglect the tornado risk for tomorrow. But the brown area, this is where you have the best overlapping of kinematics and thermodynamics. We'll talk about what both means here in a second. This is a great video to really get detailed with weather terminology, and that's what we're going to do. The brown, that is a 5% risk of a tornado within 25 miles in a given location. That does include the Harrisburg area. It includes Washington, D.C., northern Delaware, portions of the Delmarva, northern VA, Baltimore, I don't know if I said that already, Philadelphia. Okay, it includes back here to Charleston, West Virginia, just a large portion of West Virginia. Okay, so I mean, that's a decent chance of a tornado. I know you're thinking 5% risk, Mitch. I mean, what are you making a big deal out of this for? Well, it's just a totally different thing when we're talking about tornado risk. When you go from a 2 to a 5% risk, that means that somebody is likely going to get a tornado warning. I know that doesn't explain it well, but when you go from a 5 to a 10% risk, you are likely going to get some confirmed tornadoes. I know a 10% risk, that is, just think of that. I mean, you got a 1 out of 10 chance to see a tornado. I know that's still not high, but I mean, if you're that 1 out of 10 chance, I mean, it's your life is at risk, so it's serious. We will show the hail threat, just your general hail. I don't think it's going to be a massive deal tomorrow. That could change as we wake up tomorrow morning. But in the yellow, 15% risk of hail exceeding 1 inch in diameter or larger within 25 miles in a given location. Guys, the wind threat is the big dog threat tomorrow. Okay, not only do you have this large red area, that is a 30% risk in this entire enhanced region. That's a 30% risk of winds exceeding 50 knots or higher, 55 to 60 miles per hour. But you also have in the purple region right here, Washington, D.C., northern VA, Baltimore, okay, central Maryland, a 45% chance. You might as well say there's a 50-50 shot, because it's 45% chance or higher of seeing winds pushing 50 knots or higher, 55 to 60 miles per hour. I can almost guarantee you're going to get a hatched risk somewhere in here, which means you're going to have a 10% risk of significant winds. That's winds exceeding 65 knots or higher. That's basically in mile per hour readings, 75 miles per hour or higher. Hurricane force winds with some of these storms, guys. Okay, this is serious. So you're likely going to get an upgrade to a moderate risk. I have a pretty, and I could be totally wrong. I could definitely facepalm myself and faceplant on this and be totally wrong, but most people in the weather community agree that we're likely going to get an upgrade to a moderate risk in this region, driven off wind. So the threat is significant tomorrow. I don't know if there's kids in school in the Washington, D.C. area. Some people have already started school. I think somebody said in Kentucky they don't start till like the first couple days of September. It's crazy how broad the start date is, but I wouldn't be surprised they cancel some school tomorrow from this. Even I know I'm young. I'm 31. I don't remember them ever canceling school for the risk of severe storms. Now, if there was a hurricane coming, I do remember that, and obviously winter weather. But yeah, it's definitely a different ballgame out there. So let's try to explain what's going on the water vapor loop. All right. So you see this sort of spin right here. All right, that is our low pressure. So this is the associated surface low with this short wave trough digging in right here. Okay, this is going to continue to move its way eastward, and with it, it's going to bring a belt of winds aloft, shear winds, basically a mid-level jet, basically accelerated winds about 18 to 20,000 feet up in the air, right through this entire region, right into here. Okay, even down here. So with this, so much kinetic energy, which is winds, think of that as winds, you are going to have a huge threat for damaging winds in this entire region tomorrow. Okay, and this, basically this potent, is the way they explain it in the Storm Prediction Center discussion, this potent mid to upper level short wave is going to swing through here and definitely have that neutral to almost negative tilt to it and swing through this region. And basically with it, going to bring a ton of ingredients that are going to overlap one another and going to cause our severe weather threat. Now, if you kind of compare this to what's actually falling on the surface right now, I mean, you already have lift for thunderstorm development. Look at what's going on in the southeast right now. It's already active. Okay, you got severe thunderstorm warnings scattered about in Alabama. When I looked at this when I was preparing the video, there was a lot more, but there's that line of storms that moved through my neck of the woods. We even got a flash flood warning up the road. Severe thunderstorm warning near Danville, Virginia. One down here close to Macon. You got severe storms that just rolled through parts of, I think, south of Birmingham. Severe storms in southern Georgia. So, I mean, it's already very active, guys. I mean, you even already got some storms up here in the mid-Atlantic region. Okay, you got some showers and storms. We already discussed what was likely going to happen in this morning's video, rolling through western and central PA. So it's already pretty active. Associated with our surface low back here, you see this little spinach? You got that tornado warning right here, almost where Illinois, Iowa, and northeast Missouri connect. Right here, just north of Quincy. You got some severe weather cranking up for western Illinois, which we talked about this, in southeast sections of Iowa. So this is kind of what's going on right now. We kind of zoom out to all this, and you can kind of see the picture of what's driving everything. Here comes our short wave right in here. We already got plenty of lift for thunderstorm development, and this is our little surface low, and then we're going to have an associated cold front with that surface low like we normally do. But it's definitely setting up. Okay, and if you look at this, and the blues and the oranges on your screen are reds. This blue is basically our short wave. If you watch it here, you see how it's digging. You see how these lines buckle down. This is our short wave. It digs sort of this this upper troughing, if you will. Then we're waking up one Monday morning, and this thing looks like it almost has that neutral kind of dig to it, which means this thing buckles straight down. If it was going more so like this would be more so of a positive tilt, and then this is more so like a neutral tilt. All right, and then this is what we call a negative tilt, which means that we have a strengthening system. That negative tilt is what you don't want to see. That is really what enhances this damaging wind threat. Okay, and it looks like this thing is going to be taking that look on as we're rolling through the day tomorrow. Okay, let's go on and get this thing going here again. That's way too far ahead. So you see it moving through, kind of takes that look, goes neutrally tilted around tomorrow afternoon. And here it is, this shortwave trough moving through. And at the base of this and just out ahead of it, we're going to have a lot of nasty weather always. Remember, when I show you this, the blues, this is basically lower pressure. Sometimes it gets symbolized a cold front, an upper trough, upper level low. But always remember, the severe weather isn't going to be right on the blue area you see. It's always going to be on the bottom or eastern portion of this, and this is where the mechanism for all these thunderstorm development is going to be. So if you actually look, and that was the atmospheric pattern kind of that I was showing you. If you look at the ingredients, this is what it looks like. So at this point, the upper trough swinging through areas of the Midwest, the Ohio Valley, okay? This purple color you see on your screen, almost the pink-looking color, this is our belt of mid-level flow moving through. So you got winds at about 50, 60 knots, about 18 to 20,000 feet up in the air over Kentucky, areas of Tennessee, West Virginia. Okay, so that's winds pushing 65, 70 miles per hour in the upper levels of the atmosphere. We would actually consider this more so the mid-levels of the atmosphere. So we have what we call right exit region, which is basically on a portion of that belt of favorable kinematics, which would be right here in this region, right into kind of here. So, and this is going to be the worst threat right in here. So this is basically right at this exit region where the worst severe weather threat is likely going to be. And as this basically area of kinematics moves through, this is basically, just think of this as a ton of wind energy moving through this region, this entire bluish, purple, pinkish colors that you're seeing on your screen that you're probably, a lot of the audience that you're tuning in is probably having a hard time understanding. And trust me, I'm not the best at explaining this. That's why people always say, Mitch, why don't you make some informative videos? Well, there's a lot of people who are probably a lot better at explaining this than I am. I try to explain it in a way where you guys can understand and not try to geek out on you too much, but I still always want to show you the ingredients that really go together to make this. I think that's very important for the audience to really understand. But we take it all the way to about 3-4 p.m. You got a ton of winds aloft in the upper levels of the atmosphere in Kentucky, West Virginia, and then the big storms really start forming right here on the leading edge of this belt of a mid-level flow that we call right in here. And this continues to flow through the area. And along this, you're going to have damaging winds. And the winds are not just going to be in the upper levels of the atmosphere. You go about 5,000 feet up in the air. This is what we call that low-level jet, right? This is really what we look at when we're looking at a big-time tornado threat. I mean, look at these winds, only about a mile up in the atmosphere, about 4 to 5,000, 6,000 feet up in the air. Look at these winds screaming, coming right over the southern apps of Tennessee, North Carolina. You got winds pushing, I mean, what is this, 70 to 75 miles per hour, just about a few thousand feet above our heads. This is going to mix to the surface, and you're likely going to have a nasty line of storms associated with these winds aloft. And I'm about to show you what the HRRR model looks here in a second. And this goes basically from North Georgia through the Piedmont of North Carolina, up through Virginia, all the way up to the Delmarva region. So you're going to have a robust line of storms in this belt of favorable low-level winds. This is going to mix the surface, which means where you do have storms, all these strong winds are going to come to the surface, and you're going to have a threat for damaging winds into this region, right into here. I mean, look right here, 50 to 60 knot low-level jets right into this region. It's winds 65, 70 miles per hour, mile per hour readings. Maybe I got my knots to mile per hour conversion mixed up. If I do, you guys correct me. But remember, I'm doing all this in my head on the fly, guys. If you look at the low-level moisture, I mean, you check this off the box easy. It's not even a question. You check it off. You got plenty of low-level moisture that surges into the region, dew points well into the 70s, all the way up into southeast PA, New Jersey. Plenty of rich moisture out ahead of this, and this is going to do nothing but check off another box for ingredients. So this kind of short wave trough, if you will, it's going to yank up all the ingredients into this region. With this aiding surface low, is going to help pull things out of the southwest, ton of moisture, even all the way up into New York State. And with that moisture, you're going to have CAPE levels. Think of this as storm fuel that are going to be pretty high. So this is around 1 to 2 p.m. tomorrow. You got CAPE levels in the eastern areas of North Carolina, areas of Virginia, well over 2,000 joules per kilogram. But you don't need a lot of CAPE in this setup. 1,000, 1,500 joules per kilogram of CAPE is plenty of energy in the atmosphere to work with such favorable kinematics and lift. Okay, remember, some of our biggest severe weather tornado outbreaks has not had a ton of CAPE. I mean, 1,000, 1,500, but you mix it with so much energy, kinematic-wise, wind-wise, in the upper levels of the atmosphere, then you have overlapping of ingredients of thermodynamics, which is what you see on your screen, the CAPE levels, the higher temperatures, the higher dew points, moisture, and then the kinematics, the winds at the surface, the winds aloft, and the upper levels of the atmosphere. Okay, you mix them two together, you have a recipe for a severe weather outbreak, which we could have tomorrow. So let's get to the part that I'm sure a lot of people just want to see. So we'll give it to you, folks. Let's talk about the Deep South first. This area, I almost completely skipped you guys. I'm not even going to lie, but you guys definitely don't deserve to be skipped, because if you look at the Storm Prediction Center, I mean, you got the slight risk that extends all the way back to Nashville, all the way through Birmingham, almost all the way to areas of northeast Mississippi. So you guys definitely don't need to be skipped here. We'll wake up Monday morning. Could be dealing with some storms right off the dot in northern Mississippi, central Tennessee. Some storms are working their way through. They'll develop quick. There's plenty of lift in the atmosphere, even away from this surface low. And you already have a nasty line of storms around lunchtime, heading towards the Cumberland Plateau. It shows some storms around the Florence near the Huntsville area. These storms sink southward. They could redevelop at the tail end of this. Looks like around 3 to 4 p.m., you got some powerful storms rumbling through northern Alabama. These are affecting the northern areas of Georgia, the mountains of North Georgia. And this continues, and then by the time you get into this evening, you could get another round of storms that potentially develops really quickly in northern Alabama and then moves and affects the Atlanta area around 8 to 9, 10 p.m. I'm going to say this probably a few more times. Maybe I won't, maybe I will. What you're seeing on your screen could totally change when we wake up tomorrow morning. Okay, it could. But this is the general theme of what could unfold tomorrow. But you show the latest HRRR model shows some storms affecting the Atlanta area and then eventually sink southward. So we'll watch these storms for tomorrow. Any storms you see on your screen that do develop, they have the ingredients to produce damaging winds, hail, and you can't completely ignore a tornado threat. Okay, keep your eye on the sky. I would definitely watch central to eastern Tennessee, which we will talk about eastern Tennessee again and get more detailed here in a second. northern Alabama and North Georgia in this. Can't rule it out a little bit further west, but I would say it's much lower. All right, so this is a big area. My folks in the Carolinas, we'll talk about Georgia again probably, eastern Tennessee, eastern Kentucky, southern West Virginia, even areas of Virginia. But we'll probably double dose Virginia. We'll talk about Virginia in both areas. Okay, so we'll get this in motion. We'll start off tomorrow morning. There could be some storms you're waking up to in West Virginia already. And then quickly, I mean, as early as like mid to late morning, you already got storms that fire off here in Kentucky. Lexington, Kentucky, points east into the eastern hills of eastern Kentucky. Storms could already be rumbling through your area. In fact, maybe most of your activity happens in the first half of the day. But you got some storms heading out of Kentucky. These line of storms explodes potentially in eastern Tennessee and starts to really affect western Virginia. I mean, just after lunchtime, this gets going quickly. You keep this going, these are heading right over the Cumberland Plateau into the valleys of Tennessee. I would really say eastern Tennessee, western Virginia. Your highest threat may be early in the afternoon, but you could have additional convection that gets going later. But Knoxville says 1 to 2 p.m. Johnson City, Kingsport, Bristol, you guys could be highly impacted early to mid-afternoon. And then these storms start to really get into the mountainous regions of Virginia, then get more so into the foothills. Let's talk about Virginia in the next time frame. Let's focus on these areas here because I'm really going to get detailed on Virginia here in a second. But here it goes. Here comes this area. This entire region has an enhanced risk right in here. Okay, these storms move over the mountains. I would say sometime mid-afternoon. So Boone, Asheville, Waynesville, a lot of areas I'm probably missing. Banner Elk area, Blowing Rock, nasty storms mid-afternoon. I would say these storms could affect North Georgia and northern Georgia mountains, affect Atlanta, and then we'll stop it here. They could re-intensify when they get out of them higher elevations. The mountains of Tennessee, North Carolina, Virginia tend to weaken storms, and then they typically re-strengthen when they get right off the eastern slopes of the mountains. And this is what happens. I mean, look at this. This is around 5 p.m. I really am concerned about big-time damaging wind threat in western North Carolina. If you're in Hickory, Winston-Salem, the Piedmont, the Triad of North Carolina, even upstate South Carolina, I think we're going to have some tornado warnings with this area right in here. This continues. Can't rule out some additional convection back here in Kentucky, but this rolls through Charlotte, I would say sometime late afternoon, early evening, and this heads towards Raleigh, starts to affect the Columbia, South Carolina, all Augusta regions, sometime probably late afternoon, I would say more so in the evening, and then it looks like model guidance likes the idea of this losing some steam as it gets into the eastern Carolinas, but it could still be a pretty significant line of storms. This is around 10 p.m. You still got some nasty storms around the Orangeburg area, extreme, basically around the kind of the Myrtle Beach region right in here. Affects the Wilmington area around 10 to 11 p.m. But look at this additional storm action that are ongoing in northern and central Georgia. You could have another line of storms lasting all the way till after midnight, riding that South Carolina-Georgia state line all the way into the low country of South Carolina. Okay, so that's kind of what it looks like. I do want to mention the NAM. The NAM, guys, totally different. Start off tomorrow morning. We'll go through this a lot quicker. Does show storms going on pretty quickly in eastern Kentucky. But, I mean, this is what it looks like for 6 p.m. on the NAM. Okay? So show some scattered convection, not near as widespread. You go back to the HRRR model. Let's go to the HRRR model for 6 p.m., okay? Look how much different it looks, guys. Let's go all the way. This is 6 p.m. on the NAM. I'm sorry, on the HRRR model. Totally different, right? So I just want to reiterate that two pretty well-known short-range model guidance looks totally different. It really does. So let's talk about impacts from this. Let's talk about winds first. These winds will crank up quickly with any storms that get going. For example, we'll stop it here. It's around 2 p.m. If you're confused about what time frame we're at, this is an Eastern time. So 1 p.m. Central time, 2 p.m. Eastern time. I mean, look at these winds with these storms affecting eastern areas of Tennessee. This is 50, 60, 70 mile per hour wind gusts. Look at those winds associated with the storms in western Virginia. You got 40, 50, 60 mile per hour wind gusts with these two. Look at these strong wind gusts that are heading over the mountains of Tennessee and North Carolina. Very, very strong winds, potentially mid-afternoon tomorrow for the North Carolina, Tennessee mountains. Could be early afternoon, could be mid-afternoon or late afternoon. Very strong winds showing up in North Georgia. These could cause power outages. I'm telling you, there's going to be a lot of power outages tomorrow. But look how much it really increases as it gets into the upstate of South Carolina and western areas of North Carolina, the Triad, the foothills. You got huge areas of 50, 60 mile per hour winds sweeping through these regions with these storms. Line of storms moving through central Virginia too. But, I mean, these could pack a punch. These are likely going to potentially knock out power for certain areas, and they continue all the way to the coastline. Okay, so this is going to be quite significant, guys. The wind threat needs to be taken serious. Updraft Felicity swath. Remember what you're about to see on your screen? The higher the colors, like the yellows, and then it gets into reds, the more vibrant the colors, the higher chance of a rotating updraft off this particular run of the HRRR model. So we'll start off tomorrow morning. Look how it highlights immediately in areas of Kentucky, Western Virginia, and then look how it really enhances in the Triad of North Carolina. Man, it really likes the idea of these storms rotating, even if they're associated with a line, okay? This will be a very significant threat of winds, but you also have that threat of tornadoes. I would not be surprised if they extend the tornado threat a little bit further south. Not one bit. So please don't ignore this tornado threat. These updrafts will be rotating. And listen, I mean, even if it just is just a linear threat tomorrow, linear meaning just a line of storms, you're going to have some rotation with some of these storms. Okay? So it's dangerous when you have a tornado embedded in the line of storms because a lot of times they come up on you so fast. They're not very photogenic, and they could be just embedded in the line. So you never see them coming. Okay, so take this serious. All right, let's talk about my folks in the Mid-Atlantic, Virginia, West Virginia, Maryland, Southern PA, even areas of Ohio, Delaware. Start off tomorrow morning. Latest HRRR model says you're going to wake up to some showers and storms in West Virginia. We keep this going. Storms quickly re-get going around lunchtime. I mean, these look powerful right off the bang here in West Virginia. Charleston, West Virginia, Morgantown, Beckley, you guys, strong storms could start off as early as midday tomorrow. Could get some strong storms in southern sections of Ohio too. Okay, so we don't want to ignore Ohio. You guys, if you're in kind of southern and southeast areas of Ohio, you guys could get some storms early to mid-afternoon tomorrow. You really could. Let's back it up here. So we'll stop it here. It's around 2 p.m. Eastern time. Storms heading to the eastern panhandle of West Virginia. You got storms moving over this higher terrain of West Virginia and Virginia. They're affecting areas of western Maryland at this point. This is around mid-afternoon. But these storms, I'm telling you, Blacksburg, Lynchburg, Charlottesville, down here to Roanoke, Danville. I'm telling you, significant winds are possible with these. Hurricane-force winds are possible with these. 70, 75 miles per hour. And this is the epicenter of the worst weather. It's around 3 to 4 p.m. You got some gnarly storms moving through. I'm telling you, you need to secure anything that's loose, and you need to know where these storms are. If you're leaving work, if you're just out and about, picking up your kids from school, doing any outdoor activities, whatever, you really need to have a reliable radar source. And please do not rely on your radar, on your hourly forecast, guys. This is not a good day for this. Okay, please just actually walk outside, look outside if it's safe, look at a radar on your phone, know exactly where they are. Don't just rely on an hourly forecast. Or, it could affect your life. It could. But you stop it here. These storms are rumbling through Charlottesville, knocking on the doorstep around for Washington, D.C. and Baltimore. And, this looks intense on this particular run of the HRRR model. This could very well be more intense down here in Virginia. Look, you got more storms rumbling through the northern portion of West Virginia up here near Morgantown. You even got some storms showing up around the Pittsburgh and just south region. And these storms continue to roll through and head into the Delmarva region, knocking on the doorstep of Delaware. Watch out, Richmond. These storms are heading towards you guys. This is around 5 to 7 p.m. And then these start to move into the New Jersey region, Delaware. I think they will begin to lose some steam as they get closer to the ocean, but still very intense line of storms. And then you'll have just some scattered more storms that could develop in northern West Virginia, like I said, after the afternoon convection. So we'll quickly move through this one more time. This is around 11 a.m., 12 p.m., and this is 2 p.m., 3 p.m., 4 p.m., 5 p.m., 6 p.m., 7 p.m., 8 p.m., okay? Lasts throughout the entire afternoon and early evening time frame. Take this serious, guys. We look at the winds with this, and here they come. I mean, it doesn't look worrisome on this, but I'm telling you, it's going to be a lot worse than what this is showing. Okay, I really think it will. You're going to have in this line of storms areas of 50 to 60 to 70 mile per hour wind gusts. You might even get a wind gust even stronger than that. And they're going to roll through with the same time frame, okay? This is 8 p.m., 9 p.m., 10 p.m., I'm sorry, a.m., 11, 12, 1 in the afternoon, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Looks pretty bad down here in Virginia, okay? Just know that you're going to have damaging winds possible to likely with any storms that sweep through this region, guys. Updraft Felicity swath, same thing. We'll work our way through this region. And I mean, look here in West Virginia. You got a legit tornado threat in West Virginia tomorrow. And, you know, you don't have great terrain for actually visibly seeing anything. So do not let this sneak up on you and you folks in West Virginia. I've had a couple people tell me that I ignore West Virginia. That was a very long time ago. But I'm definitely not ignoring you guys for tomorrow, okay? You guys have a pretty significant threat for severe weather, especially as you work away, I would say, into the northeastern portion of the state. But you see these, you know, highlighted areas as far as colors. This is indicating rotation with some of these storms that will flow through. So please, guys, take this serious. Take this serious tomorrow, okay? Even if we go to bed tomorrow, we wake up Tuesday morning saying, dang, that was over. I know someone's going to say it. Man, that was overhyped. It's not overhyped if one person gets hit, because that one person, their life may be affected forever. They might lose a loved one. So it's easy for the grand scheme of things to say things are overhyped, but you just never know if this is going to be way more significant than even what they're thinking it's going to be. So please take it serious tomorrow, guys. A little bit closer look at this threat. Really zooming in on specific areas here where I think the most significant threat will be that pink or purplish pink that you see on your screen. We'll roll with pink. That is a 45% chance or higher to see winds exceeding 50 knots or higher, guys. I'm telling you, you're going to have a hatch risk in this region. I don't have to name these cities. You see it if you're local to these areas, but Washington, D.C., Baltimore, right smack in the middle of this threat, guys. And, you know, we look at the tornado threat. You guys got that 5% risk of a tornado, and then the hail threat. And, yeah, so definitely a big threat. I don't want to ignore you folks in New York, northern portions of VA. You guys will see some strong storms tomorrow, too. If you're around the Buffalo region, I think you can get some strong to severe storms around early to mid-afternoon. The Finger Lakes area up to Scranton. This is around 5 p.m. tomorrow. Look at these nasty storms sweeping through the Finger Lakes region, through the Rochester region, getting close to the Reading area. These are moving through. I mean, this is what it could look like around 7 p.m. tomorrow. I think you can get a damaging wind threat, big damaging wind threat throughout the entire western half of New York State tomorrow and eastern PA, okay? Now, you know, for you folks wondering kind of in the New York City area, I think the storms will lose its steam by the time it reaches you guys, but I do think you'll get some rain off this tomorrow. But, I mean, look how much rain's falling up here in New York State. Syracuse, Watertown, a lot of rain falling from this, but the severity of it I don't think will be quite as high. So that's the update on the severe weather threat for tomorrow. I'm losing my voice. I promised I would talk about the tropics, but guys, I'm not going to get as detailed as I wanted to get just because the severe weather threats is taking up so much of my energy and time here. But there's nothing expected over the next 7 days. And it seems like every time where we have an increase for a 24-hour period of tropics, it seems like we talk about it too much and then it goes away. So maybe that's a good thing. We need to talk about it a lot so the threat for anything in the tropics goes away. But I will mention the European ensemble run through 180 hours, which is 7 days out. It likes the idea of something getting going here in the Southwest Atlantic. Okay, if that happens, then you know we do need to watch the eastern U.S., even into the Gulf of Mexico. There's a sign here. There's quite a few L's, but This looks like 10 to 12 different low pressures showing up on this run. That's out of 50, so that's not very high. I mean, it's only 35% of the members. It does like the idea of a wave coming off North Africa here in about 7 days, so we'll definitely watch this. So I know that's not a lot on the tropics. I'll even show you the GEFS ensemble run, same thing, and it's not very impressive. I think this only goes out. Yeah, let's go to the 12Z and let's go 108 hours out. Yeah, this isn't cooperating for me at all. But in general, guys, the threat remains low as of now. So that's all I got. I hope that helped. I felt like we worked through that pretty efficiently. So God bless all y'all. Stay safe out there, and I'll have you another update in the morning.